What is up, my people? Welcome to another video. I'm gonna be talking boxing today, and in particular, the mentality of our boxers, most of our boxers, or at least the top dogs. Um, and why I believe we have this mentality, and why I believe, um, it's basically, bitch like mentality, right? In how we take losses, and I've seen it time and time again, especially here in the U.S. Anthony Joshua, he's from England, and he just lost a fight with against Dubois. I used to call him the Boys, which is a TV show on Amazon Prime, but and I'm not sponsored. I'm just saying that's what I thought his name sounded like to me, but it's actually, I think it's French. And it's called Dubois. Dubois. But yeah. But anyways, Anthony Joshua lost the fight. He got knocked down. I think it was in 5 rounds. I forget. Um, it was an upset. It was a big upset. Like I said before, it wasn't surprising to me because in the zone, this is very common to have upsets and for people to sometimes lose that aren't supposed to lose. Um, which I mentioned that it is good for boxing because it's more of real fights. They're real fights instead of what we got here in the U.S., which is fights that we're for sure that the person that we think is going to win is going to win. For example, Tank Davis versus whoever that other guy is. He's about to fight a guy nobody knows. Everybody knows that Tank Davis is going to win. Um, and there's nothing the other guy could do about it because Tank Davis is going to have all of the um, he's going to have all of the luck on his side. He's going to have the ref on his side. He's going to have one of the judges or maybe two of the judges on his side. He's going to have home court advantage. The commentators are going to be on his side for sure. So it's so many elements that are already on Tank Davis's side, and you add that to the fact that the style is probably going to be tailor made for Tank to win, and Tank Davis is just a all around better boxer than this guy. This guy is also coming up in weight, so he's a smaller guy, and we're talking about a guy in Tank Davis who's a fighter that can knock, supposedly from what I hear, can knock out heavyweights. That's the rumor, and so that's what I'm trying to tell you is like here in America, our fighters are manufactured, and we're trying to manufacture another Mayweather to where the person doesn't lose and people pay to see him lose, but you gotta be popular in order for us to pay you to see you lose. And the thing is, the fighters we have today, they're not as popular as they used to be because they're not as good as they used to be. Um, but getting back to the zone, the reason a lot of these American fighters are losing, and a lot of fighters from all around the world are having a tough time in Riyadh season, is because it's neutral ground and you don't get to do any home cooking, in those places. And that's why you see people like Terrence Crawford struggle. That's why you see Devin Haney got knocked out and whatever. So this is why you see this types of upsets. I've talked about it before, but it's gonna be relevant to what I'm talking about today. So but anyways, Anthony Joshua took it well. Why? Because he's a gentleman, he's a good sportsman, and he knows how to take a loss. He's a warrior. Warriors keep on pushing. Even if they fall, they get back up and they continue to fight and they continue to push forward. Um, and that's what Anthony is, right? So that's not the way Americans are. You know, Devin Haney, he lost against Ryan Garcia. He's not taking it very well. Every time I see him in an interview, he seems like he's gonna cry. He's on the verge of tears, um, which is crazy to me. He can't get over the fact that he got beat up by a better guy, just an all around better guy. And he's doing all of this extracurricular things to get back at Ryan Garcia. And to me, that just seems like a person that just doesn't know how to lose. Doesn't know um, how to take a loss. How to get back up and keep pushing. Instead of doing that in the ring, he's doing all of this litigation stuff. He's doing all of this things that to real men looks like a bitch. He just looks like a bitch. This is bitch like behavior. Some people don't understand it. There is some people online that I've heard that they say they don't understand why people hate Devin Haney. And I used to be a fan of Devin Haney. I have a video talking about this is how a true boxer looks like. And I'm talking about how Devin Haney is a good example for younger fighters. Now, fast forward a couple of months later from when I made that video, and Devin Haney has lost his shit, bro, because of one loss. His whole world starts crumbling down, and he just can't move past it. He's getting in fights in Six Flags or whatever. I don't know where the fuck he's at, and with nobody's. He'd rather punch that guy than get a rematch with Ryan Garcia. He's taking that out on innocent bystanders. And then he goes back and he sues Ryan Garcia, even though I think he already got some money off of him anyways. Now he wants more. So this is not a good look, bro. I don't understand how some people don't get how this is the lowest of the low to the people. The people see this, they've always hated people like this. They've always hated people that take the ball home because it's like, I'm not winning, so I'm taking the ball for home with me. It's that type of shit. And listen, I know that Ryan Garcia was caught with Austrian, right? But it's like what Keyshawn Davis said, right? He got interviewed, and Keyshawn Davis gave his opinion on how he feels about what Devin is doing. And he said this is bitch-like behavior. Why? Because Keyshawn said something like this. I can't quote him like quote for quote, but he said, I've known people that have gotten in the ring with people that are on drugs, that are on actual steroids, and it changes their lives. They're not the same anymore. But Austrian, he literally said, but Austrian is not that. That means this is what I'm gonna decode it for you. Austrian is not a steroids. It's not an anabolic steroids. It's illegal, but it's not an anabolic steroids. Similar to weed. You remember when what's his face, the Diaz brothers got caught smoking weed, so they lost the fight before the fight happened. And he beat up a Japanese guy. I forgot his name. And people thought the Japanese guy was gonna win because he was one of the best in the world. He faced off against Nick Diaz, or one of the Diaz brothers. I forgot who it is, and he beat him up. He was high in that fight. He was high. Okay, so is weed a performance enhancer? No. Most scientific people would say no. I personally think that it is for some people. For me, it is. Um, but but in general, it's not supposed to be. Okay, it's not supposed to be. So scientifically, weed is supposed to slow you down, and it's supposed to make you relaxed and not as alert. So it's the opposite. But the thing is, it's illegal. Okay, there's a difference between something that's going to like an anabolic steroids that's actually going to make you faster, stronger, and more resistant. Okay, That wasn't the case with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was huffing and puffing after what, the third round or something like that. That's not a guy that's on steroids. I'm sorry, but it's not, bro. That this dude, the guy that's on steroids, their face changes. I could see it in their face. I could see it in the way their muscles look. I could tell you this guy's on steroids, and that's what Keyshawn Davis was trying to say. He's like, I've known people on actual steroids that have fought people on actual steroids, and it changed their lives. But this isn't it. That's what he was trying to say. This is not that. And for Ryan Garcia to act this way, because I mean, for Devin Haney to act this way, it's bitch-like behavior. That's what he was trying to say. Because Devin Haney knows, bro. He knows that what Keyshawn Davis is saying is true. That's why all the boxing people are getting on Devin Haney, because they all know that this shit that Ryan Garcia was on ain't real shit. It's not like a thing that actually is a performance enhancer. It may enhance you a little bit through time, like a supplement does, but it's not a performance enhancer like steroids, like actual anabolic steroids. It's not. And I already told you, when something is illegal or legal, it's controlled by the powers that be to attack certain people. And I'm not defending Ryan Garcia. So I know it sounds like it is. I don't like the guy. But um, in this particular case that we're talking about here, Ryan Garcia, you know, this is what I think happened. I think at first I thought he cheated, and it could be that he did, but the real way he cheated is he came in heavy. Okay, that's the real. Like, that's when I changed my prediction in the fight. I thought Devin Haney was gonna win until the day of the final weigh-in. He came in a couple of pounds too heavy, and I said, okay, Ryan Garcia is gonna win. I flipped it back around at the last moment because of the weight, and I thought that was gonna be the main factor. The reason for that was because he wasn't going to be drained, and he was going to be his healthy self. And Devin Haney was going to be, um, suffering from fatigue, from the training that he had to lose all the weight from. So Ryan Garcia was going to win. So that's why I predicted that fight correctly. But it wasn't because, trust me, it wasn't because of no Austrian. Austrian was barely in his system. It was a very small amount, which means that um, it was either put in his supplements, or he thought that he was gonna get something out of it with his dumbass a day into 1 day before the fight, which is stupid. That's not how it works. You have to be on it, and you have to be cycling on it for months. You know, and the fact that Ryan Garcia was being tested way more than Devin Haney for various reasons. Number one, they weaponize testing. Believe it or not, they weaponize testing. If they don't want you to win, they'll test you way more than the other guy. I know, because it's all you could see it all throughout boxing. You're gonna see it all the time, and that's how they get all the great ones here. If they don't want you to continue to win, they'll weaponize that testing against you. Um, but one of the other reason was that Ryan Garcia was acting like a fool, right? He was acting like a drug addict. He was acting like he was losing his shit. So they tested him for everything. So that's why they were testing him so much. And also, they made psychological tests on him to see if he was crazy or something was wrong with him, because he was literally, people were worried about him. Okay, so whatever with that. My opinion is that Ryan Garcia did this because he knew that the powers that be were behind Devin Haney. And the only way that he could have beat Devin Haney is by burning the whole thing down. So it's like, okay, everything is against me. He got the judges, he got the ref, he got this, he got the other. The only thing I could do is go berserker mode. And that's what I think Ryan Garcia did. Now, um, Devin Haney just can't take it. He just can't take a loss, and that, in my opinion, is what's hurting him the most. When it comes to boxing, boxing is a violent sport, and it's about violence. That's what it's about. When you try to make it about litigation, when you try to make it about winning in court, you're killing the um how can I say this? The aesthetics of the sport. You're destroying what the sport means. And that's been happening here in the US to boxing for a long time. And it's a slow death that we're living here. And this is just another step to killing boxing. This is literally gonna kill boxing if it continues this way, and if we allow this to become the new era, because that's what um, Bill Haney is talking about doing. He said this is the Devin Haney era, and this is what he's saying is gonna represent it. That they're gonna be fighting litigations and winning fights in court, which is the lamest era ever, dude. Come on, bro. How are you going to put out a product and say this is the Devin Haney era and this is what we represent? This is the worst thing that could happen in boxing, in my personal opinion. You're making it about litigation rather than actual making the fights happen. You're arguing on Twitter. You're, you know, just killing boxing. And it's all because our fighters can't take a loss. You look at Deontay Wilder. He's another guy that can't take a loss. He cherry picked Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury was retired. He was fat. He was suicidal, and he was a drug addict. And instead of uh, Deontay Wilder fighting somebody who was formidable like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder decided to go pick on that guy, that fat ass suicidal drug addict. And he came back, he trained, and it turns out that Tyson Fury can actually fight. Wilder couldn't take it. Wilder lost his mind because that's what these guys want to do. That's what's going on in American boxing. They want to pick on fighters that can't fight to gain fame and to make their billions. This is what's happening, bro. It's not good, man. Look at Tank Davis. Tank Davis is fighting a guy who bro, like, come on, dude. And that's why these fighters think that they deserve the world and they don't have to do shit. People just have to give them the fights that they want. They don't even get up for interviews. They're just laying back in their pajamas. And the guy's like in the interview laying down. I'm talking about Terrence Crawford, of course. It's like, bro, like what is up with boxing today, bro? It's like I don't understand, dude. A bunch of bitch like behavior, and it's from the culture, bro. It's from the culture, from American culture. That winning is everything. That these people can't take a loss. It's like even in our politics, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna win. There's no way they're gonna lose. That we're gonna lose, and if we lose, it's rigged. Already making built-in excuses. It's everywhere, bro. Americans, dude. This I could just see um the future, man, and it's not good, bro. It's not. And it's like I said, it's spilling into boxing. And a little bit about Terrence Crawford, letting go a little bit of Devin Haney for a little bit. Terrence Crawford, he's another diva, which is a better way of saying bitch. And and I'm gonna tell you why, because he can't take criticism, and he's just as much a diva as Tank Davis and um, even Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. The only difference is that Terrence Crawford is actually talented and he actually has um, skills. And And I believe he actually probably might have, a good argument for being one of the best boxers of this generation. But he's, in my opinion, his resume isn't close to some of the other guys. Okay, there's a lot of asterisks in his resume, and the reason I bring him up is because Terrence Crawford believes that he has to do nothing else. He believes that if he retires today, that he's okay, that his legacy is okay, and it is okay. It is okay, but it's not greater than Canelo's. If they were both to retire today, people will forget about Terrence Crawford within 5 years, probably less. They will still continue to talk about Canelo Alvarez 10 years from now or more. That's how much the legacy of Canelo Alvarez has been placed. It's just the way it is. His resume is way better. Terrence Crawford talking about Canelo Alvarez only fights smaller fighters. It's hilarious to me because Crawford, that's all he's been doing his whole life. Crawford is probably taller than Canelo, or the same size, and he's been fighting smaller fighters his whole life. His whole life. In fact, his biggest fights have been against midgets, bro, compared to him. Gamboa. Go look at how tall Gamboa is and how low he started in his career. Gamboa is a midget. And that's one of the biggest fights of Terrence Crawford's career. Just think about that. Just wrap your mind around that. Kell Brooks. When he fought Kell Brooks, the dude, didn't he just came up with like what, 2 or 3 losses? Probably one loss against Gennady Golovkin, I believe. Who destroyed him. Had one eye. In fact, within that fight, he complained about the eye. Then he fought Amir Khan, hit him in the balls, and they counted it as a knockdown. Just think about all I'm saying, bro. Think about all that shit. It's like, bro, it's crazy out here, bro. It's crazy. If they want you to win, if they want you to be big in boxing, they'll make you become big in boxing regardless of what you do. If they don't, then boy, you better have some backing. Because even if you have the people behind you, if you don't have the right people behind you in litigation, you're fucked. They'll find a way. But Terrence Crawford definitely has a machine behind him. Just like Devin has one. Just like Tank has one. They have people behind them that work behind the scenes that want these people to be on top. Okay, and trust me, like, you could tell. Just look at the records of the testosterone levels and see how much they jump up and how impossible that is for it to be, 20, 20 times the normal amount. And then you see who's behind most of these guys and who's providing their supplements. It's a dirty sport. And when I see these patterns and I see the when I see the patterns, you could tell who they want to be on top and who they don't want to be on top. And it's very political. Um, it's very, very, very easy to see, in my opinion. If you can't see it, man, it's then you're pretty stupid. But getting back to Devin Haney a little bit, um, the other thing I noticed about Devin Haney, because Devin Haney, he wants people to believe that the only reason he lost is because of the Austrian. But if you look at that video, there's a video going around on YouTube and on other platforms as well. and it's a sparring session between him, Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia, and that's back when they were very young. I think it was like 5 years ago or more. And you look at them, you look at both of these fighters, and you see that they are the same fighter that they were, 5, 15 years ago. And you start thinking, like, how is that possible? How is that possible? Because most fighters, they evolve with time. Floyd Mayweather is a perfect example. He evolved through time. He's not the same fighter that he was when he was in the Olympics and when he was, a professional, and when he became Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather, right? So and Money May, right? So it's three different evolutions of one fighter. And there's some things that are still there that are similar, the Philly shell, shit like that, pull counter, stuff like that. But the evolution is clear. There's wrinkles in his game. Look at Canelo, for example. Canelo's the same way. You have a bunch of stages in his career, and he evolves through time, right? He has a better jab now. He has better footwork now. He has better head movement. His defense is better. He's an all-around better fighter than he was 15 or 5 years ago, right? But the reason for that is because fighters face adversity within their lifespan as a boxer, and that's why they become better. But when you get the fighters that we have today that are mostly manufactured, that are mostly brought up in facing people that they're for sure going to win against, most of these fighters, when they fight, for a fact that they're going to win. Why? Because they're facing people that suck. People with one eye coming back from an accident. People that are smaller than them, that have gotten knocked out several times. And they're going to face a guy who is undisputed in several weight classes and knocks most of his opponents out. Could fight with left hand or right hand, and it's not just Terrence Crawford, it's Devin Haney as well. All of these fighters, they have not faced as much adversity as the fighters of the past, and because of that, they're the same fighters that they were before, just like Devin Haney, just like Ryan Garcia. That's why you don't see them change that much. That's why they're still making the same mistakes that they have been making for the past couple of years, because they are being babied. They are being they're not letting them get off the training wheels. And this is not how you build better fighters. This is how you build weaker fighters. And like I said, this is why when these fighters go on fight at the zone, they find out that they're not that good. They find out that in neutral ground, they actually kind of suck. Um, and that's because this whole country is built around the mentality of win by any means necessary, including manufacturing heroes, manufacturing um, champions, right? And people need to wake up and realize that fighting is fighting, and that they're gonna have to push forward for real if they want to make it to the next level, or the next stage of what boxing is gonna become, or is it gonna be left in the past? Um, this is why Devin Haney now hates Eddie Hearn, because he blames Eddie Hearn for it. He blames everyone but himself. He blames Ryan Garcia. He blames Austria. He blames Oscar De La Hoya. He blames Eddie Hearn. He was caught in the last fight. I forgot which one it was, arguing with Eddie Hearn about some shit. But it's not his fault. Eddie Hearn is just making the fights happen that Americans don't want to happen, because they know that it's gonna expose their fighters. That's why a lot of these fights ain't happening, bro. Because they care about number one winning. And if they're not guaranteed 100% that they're going to win, they're just not going to make the half fight happen. And they know that the people here in the United States are so stupid that they're still gonna probably buy the fight anyways. Um, but that's the state of affairs here. Now, my solution, in my opinion, is starting from a very young age. People should, kids should play sports, and even well, from my perspective, it should be pugilistic sports like fighting, like a boxing. I'm sorry, karate, wrestling, all of these things. But they should use it in an exercise type of way, in a recreational type of way. You know, um, in schools and stuff like that, right? But don't make it to where, oh, one day you're gonna make it in this sport. One day you're gonna be a champion. One day you're gonna be an Olympic champion or whatever. Just make it a recreational sport. That's it. Just take it as a pastime, and that is going to build better fighters. And not only that, but it's going to be better on the psyche of Americans because it weighs on people to always think, well, if you're doing this, you have to be doing something with it. People don't just do it. Like, for example, when I tell people I like to box or I like martial arts, a lot of times in their minds it crosses, aren't you a little too old to be doing that? Why? Because to Americans, it is believed subconsciously that if you're doing a combat sport or any type of sport in general, that you're doing it to one day make it big, to one day make money off of this thing. But that's a stupid idea because 99.9% of people that do any sport in general, not just pugilistic sports, will not become anything in that sport. They won't become a champion. They won't. They won't even fight professionally or do whatever sport they do professionally. So it's stupid to have that goal in mind from the beginning. It's not supposed to be that way. You should just do it because you enjoy it. That's number one. Just do it because you enjoy it. And that is going to create a better mindset in the society in general. Why? Because they're going to be able to take losses much better. Okay, it's just a loss. We could continue because we love the sport. We're going to continue. We're just going to continue playing. That's my personal opinion. That's what I think is going to hopefully help us out with the whole not being able to lose thing. Um, and that's the thing. Like the culture here is like they don't understand that in other cultures winning isn't everything. In other culture, the love of the game is number one. That is why um, the best athletes, the best boxers in other countries have losses. Like for example, Canelo Alvarez, he's the biggest star in the world, not just Mexico. He has two losses under his belt. Anthony Joshua is arguably one of the most popular boxers in the world, way more popular than Tank Davis. I don't care what anybody in your corner thinks or in your barbershop thinks. Outside of your corner and outside of your barbershop, outside of your piece of shit hood, nobody knows who Tank Davis is or Terrence Crawford. So it doesn't matter that they don't have a loss under their belts. I said it time and time before. It's propaganda, bro. Once upon a time, there was a guy called Floyd Mayweather. He wanted to sell us his product, which was himself. And in order for us to buy his bullshit, he had to put value on a zero. And ever since then, little kids grew up thinking that that was the ultimate goal, to be like Floyd Mayweather, to never lose, to never fall. But you gotta understand, that was a sales pitch to sell himself to the public. And he did well with that. It worked for him. But it's not gonna work for you because we've seen it before. We don't want that anymore. That's what kids have to understand these days. It's not about that. That is why the most popular fighters in the world today have fallen. Again, I'll repeat it again. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Canelo Alvarez, Naoya Inoue. Um, Most of the fighters that are on top right now have hit in the canvas or have losses under their belts. Think about that. And the people that have zero losses and that have not hit the canvas ever, nobody cares about them past their barbershop, past their own front porch. Nobody gives a fuck.